Mary and her husband John lived a serene and fulfilling life until John's sudden illness turned Mary's world upside down. Left a widow with a young daughter, Emma, Mary sought refuge with her brother James in Macon, hoping for familial support. Instead, she faced hostility, false accusations, and abuse. James and his family blamed Emma for thefts, leading to severe punishment and the tragic death of Mary's mother. Forced to leave, Mary and Emma endured rejection and violence from their uncle. Their turning point came when a kind stranger, Margaret, offered sanctuary, allowing them to rebuild their lives with newfound strength and hope. Hello my friends, I hope all you are fine. This is Narrative Stories channel. Let's start this story. Mary and her husband John lived a serene and fulfilling life in a quaint village surrounded by friends and family. They were a loving couple, devoted to each other and their only daughter, Emma. Their days were filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the simple joys of rural life. John worked as a school teacher, respected and adored by his students, while Mary tended to their home and volunteered at the local community center. They were happy, content, and full of hope for the future. However, fate had a cruel twist in store for them. John fell ill suddenly, his condition deteriorating rapidly despite the efforts of the village doctor and the prayers of their community. In a matter of weeks, Mary found herself alone, a widow with a grieving heart and a bewildered young daughter. John's death was a devastating blow, leaving Mary to navigate the harsh reality of loss and the responsibilities of single parenthood. With no immediate family in the village to support her, Mary decided to move to Macon, where her brother lived. She hoped that the bond of blood would offer her and Emma the sanctuary and support they desperately needed. Packing up their few belongings, they left their beloved village behind, embarking on a journey to what Mary believed would be a safe haven amidst their sorrow. Mary arrived in Macon with cautious optimism, holding on to the hope that her brother James would provide the comfort and support she and Emma needed. James had always been a pillar of strength in their family, and Mary believed that his home would be a sanctuary during their time of grief. As they approached his house, Mary felt a mix of relief and anticipation, imagining a warm welcome and the embrace of family. James welcomed them with a polite, albeit somewhat reserved demeanor. His wife, Karen, was less enthusiastic, her forced smile betraying a hint of irritation. Their children, a boisterous trio of boys, eyed Emma with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Despite the initial awkwardness, Mary remained hopeful, convincing herself that time would smooth out the rough edges and they would soon feel at home. The first few days in Macon were challenging, as Mary and Emma tried to adjust to their new surroundings. Mary busied herself with household chores, hoping to ease the burden on Karen and demonstrate her gratitude. Emma, shy and still mourning her father, found it difficult to connect with her cousins, who often excluded her from their games. The subtle signs of hostility from Karen and her children became more apparent as days turned into weeks. Karen's coldness was palpable, manifesting in snide remarks and passive-aggressive behavior. She complained about the extra work and expenses, making Mary feel like an unwelcome burden. The children, taking cues from their mother, began to treat Emma with increasing disdain. Despite the growing discomfort, Mary tried to maintain a positive outlook, believing that family ties would eventually prevail over the current tensions. As the weeks went by, incidents of theft began occurring in the house. Small items went missing, money, toys, and food, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and unease. Karen was quick to blame Emma, accusing her of stealing and causing trouble. Her children echoed these accusations, often planting stolen items in Emma's belongings to frame her. Each accusation deepened the mistrust and tension in the household. Mary was horrified and heartbroken by the false accusations against her daughter. She knew Emma was innocent, but her protests fell on deaf ears. James, influenced by his wife and children, began to doubt Emma as well. The once promising hope of a supportive family environment was rapidly deteriorating into a nightmare of blame and alienation. The household, which should have been a refuge, had become a battleground. James's response to the accusations was swift and brutal. He took out his anger on Emma, punishing her harshly for crimes she did not commit. His violence extended to his own daughter, who he believed was influenced by Emma. Mary was helpless, unable to protect her daughter from the physical and emotional abuse. She was torn between her role as a sister and a mother, trapped in a cycle of fear and despair. The emotional toll on Mary was immense. She felt betrayed by the brother she had trusted and isolated in a house that should have been her sanctuary. The strain of constant vigilance and the futile attempts to prove Emma's innocence wore her down. Despite her efforts, the accusations continued, and the punishments grew more severe. Mary's hope for a supportive family environment had been shattered, replaced by a grim reality of survival and suffering. Mary's mother, an elderly woman with a strong spirit, could not stand by and watch her granddaughter suffer. She stepped in to protect Emma whenever James's wrath, and offering her comfort. Her actions, however, infuriated James. He viewed her interference as an affront to his authority and responded with violence. On multiple occasions, he slapped his mother, dismissing her pleas for mercy and demanding she stay out of his affairs. Despite the physical and emotional abuse, Mary's mother remained resolute. She was determined to protect her granddaughter, even at the cost of her own well-being. Her attempts to intervene often resulted in more violence and conflict, but she refused to back down. Her courage and unwavering love for Emma became a source of strength for Mary, who was struggling to hold her family together in the face of relentless adversity. The stress and trauma of constant conflict took a severe toll on Mary's mother. Her health, already fragile, began to deteriorate rapidly. One day, after a particularly violent outburst from James, she collapsed, unable to bear the emotional and physical strain any longer. The shock and heartbreak of the situation proved too much for her, and she passed away, leaving Mary and Emma in a state of profound grief and despair. Mary was devastated by her mother's death. The loss of her last remaining pillar of support was a crushing blow. She blamed herself for bringing her daughter and mother into such a toxic environment, and the guilt weighed heavily on her heart. Emma, too, was deeply affected, losing not only her grandmother, but also a protector and source of unconditional love. The impact of the tragedy rippled through their lives, intensifying their sense of isolation and helplessness. The death of Mary's mother marked the breaking point for the fragile equilibrium in the household. James, now more embittered and volatile, decided that Mary and Emma were no longer welcome. One evening, in a fit of rage, he ordered them to leave his house, throwing their belongings out and slamming the door shut behind them. Mary and Emma found themselves on the streets, abandoned by the family they had hoped would offer them sanctuary. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming. Mary had trusted her brother to provide a safe haven, but instead, he had turned them out in their time of greatest need. The despair and fear were almost unbearable, but Mary knew she had to stay strong for Emma. They had nowhere to go, no money, and no idea of what the future held. All they could do was keep moving, hoping to find a place where they could rebuild their lives. Desperate for help, Mary and Emma turned to their uncle, hoping for a reprieve from their suffering. However, the reception they received was far from welcoming. The uncle, influenced by James's narrative of blame and accusations, was hostile and unkind. When Emma, driven by hunger, asked for food, she was met with violence. The uncle beat her and sent them away, adding another layer of rejection and pain to their already heavy burden. The repeated rejections and abuse took a toll on Mary and Emma's spirits. They felt utterly abandoned, even by those who were supposed to protect and care for them. The constant struggle for survival, the lack of shelter, and the gnawing hunger became their harsh reality. Despite the overwhelming odds, Mary refused to give up. She knew she had to keep fighting for her daughter, no matter how difficult the journey became. One day, while seeking help from their uncle once again, the situation escalated dangerously. The uncle's anger reached a boiling point, and Emma, sensing the imminent threat, decided to run. Fueled by fear and desperation, she fled from the house, her heart pounding and her mind racing. The thought of being caught and beaten again spurred her on, and she ran without looking back, her only goal being to escape the immediate danger. Mary, frantic with worry, chased after her daughter. The sight of Emma running, her small figure disappearing into the distance, was a heart-wrenching moment for Mary. She called out to her, urging her to stop, but Emma kept running, driven by pure instinct to get as far away from the source of her pain as possible. It was a pivotal moment, marking the end of their reliance on family and the beginning of their journey toward independence. As Emma ran through the streets, a kind stranger noticed her distress. An elderly woman named Margaret, with a compassionate heart and a keen eye for those in need, approached Emma and offered her help. Seeing the fear and exhaustion in the young girl's eyes, Margaret took her to her home, providing her with food, shelter, and a sense of safety. Mary, arriving shortly after, was overwhelmed with relief and gratitude. Was a turning point for Mary and Emma. She offered them not just immediate relief, but also a chance to rebuild their lives. Margaret, having experienced hardships of her own, understood the importance of compassion and support. She became a mentor and friend to Mary, helping her find her footing and offering guidance as they navigated their new circumstances. Her home became a sanctuary, a place where Mary and Emma could begin to heal. With Margaret's support, Mary and Emma embarked on a journey of recovery. The initial days were filled with small victories, finding stability, regaining their sense of security, and slowly healing from their trauma. Margaret encouraged Mary to pursue her talents and find ways to support herself and Emma. This encouragement sparked a new determination in Mary, who was resolved to provide a better future for her daughter. Mary began by helping Margaret with household tasks, gradually taking on more responsibilities. She rediscovered her skills and talents, which had been overshadowed by the constant struggle for survival. Margaret's unwavering belief in her abilities gave Mary the confidence she needed to start thinking about the future. Slowly but surely, they began to build a new life, one rooted in hope and resilience. As time passed, Mary found a job at a local community center, where her organizational skills and compassionate nature were highly valued. With a steady income, she was able to secure a modest home for herself and Emma. The sense of stability and independence was empowering, allowing them to start afresh without the shadow of their past hanging over them. Emma, too, began to thrive in the new environment. She made friends at school and started to excel in her studies. The nightmares that once plagued her began to fade, replaced by dreams of a brighter future. Mary and Emma's bond grew stronger as they navigated their new life together, drawing strength from each other and the support of their new community. Mary often reflected on their journey, from the harrowing days in her brother's house to their current life, filled with hope and promise. She marveled at their resilience and the strength that had carried them through the darkest times. The betrayal and pain had forged a deep bond between her and Emma, one that was unbreakable and rooted in unconditional love and support. Their story was one of growth and transformation. Mary had gone from being a grieving widow seeking refuge to a strong, independent woman who had rebuilt her life from the ground up. Emma, once a frightened child, had blossomed into a confident and ambitious young girl. Their journey was a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of never giving up, no matter how insurmountable the odds seemed. As Mary looked to the future, she felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. The challenges they had faced had not broken them, but had made them stronger and more resilient. She was determined to provide Emma with the opportunities she deserved and to continue building a life filled with love, support, and happiness. They had overcome immense adversity, and Mary knew that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. In their new home, Mary and Emma found a sense of peace and belonging. They had become an integral part of their community, forging new friendships and creating a network of support. Mary's work at the community center brought her fulfillment, and Emma's academic achievements filled her with pride. They had not only survived, but had thrived, turning their pain into a source of strength. Mary's story was a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit. Despite the betrayals and hardships they had faced, she and Emma had emerged stronger and more resilient. Their journey was a testament to the power of love, hope, and perseverance. Mary often shared her story with others, hoping to inspire and encourage those facing similar struggles. Her message was clear: no matter how dark the days may seem, never give up. There is always hope, and with determination and support, anything is possible. Thank you for being a part of Narrative Stories. Your support and engagement mean the world to us. We are committed to bringing you the best in storytelling. What kinds of stories would you like to see next? Share your thoughts in the comments below.